guys, welcome to episode 3 of
The Social Notions.
Well done, guys. You're in time that time. Oh dear. How are you doing, Kate? Dancing in the corner.
I'm good. I was a bit late, but that's normal.
A bit.
You guys don't know this. Well, some of you do, because some of you know Katie, but Katie is always latey.
Latey Katie.
But luckily, we're here, we're filming, we're recording episode 3 of The Social Notions. Jan, how you doing?
Not too bad, yeah. All right.
Good?
Yeah, more and more stressed every day.
Yeah.
But nice. It's good.
Impending doom of the university. Anyway, this is our downtime to just chill. Thank you guys a lot for the support on episode 1. It was out last Sunday? Yeah, last Sunday. And everyone seems to have really enjoyed it. It was quite a tame topic, so from now on it is going to be
the nitty-gritty.
But
Yeah,
wait.
nitty-gritty.
When they watch it, it'll be like weeks ago.
True, it will.
So thanks for supporting our first episode.
Yeah, and well, you will have seen the second episode by the time this is up as well. So our schedule is like a fortnightly upload. We've got to keep it fortnightly because of the stress of uni. But yeah. Also, a big shout out to Evie White, our logo designer, and Tilly Richardson, our editor. They both massively helped us. So shout out to you guys. Go and check out their stuff. It's always down below in the bio of our YouTube video, and you'll find it on our Facebook page if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It does look weird when it's on there, you know.
I know.
It looks cool, mate.
So professional. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying. Same old. We're going to spin the wheel today. Going to get a topic, and we're going to chat shit.
Shabba.
So I guess let's dive in. Lock in with us, guys. Get ready for another conversation. Let's go.
Fuck's sake.
So, guys, we've spun the wheel, and it's landed on Katie's choice, which is going to be, Katie,
Ancient Egyptians.
one more time for the people in the
again.
back.
Ancient Egyptians.
Yeah! Tell us what we're going to talk about, Katie. Break it down for us.
So we're going to talk about pyramids,
Yeah.
mummification,
Yeah.
pharaohs, specifically King Tut,
Classic tip.
hieroglyphics, and then conspiracy theories.
We love
surrounding
conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
bit of that.
So it's not as political or social, but it's just fun. We like talking shit about shit. So we're gonna dive in. You might notice that we have an extra chair. This is purely because we have a special guest. We know someone who likes chatting shit about ancient Egypt more than anyone, so we're going to introduce you to him now. So guys, you might notice a guest to my left. This is Tom Fisher.
Hello.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yes, yeah. I've heard that you want me to come in and chat some breeze over your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So this is our friend Tom. He loves ancient Egypt. He loves more than that, but
Yeah, I just love anything that's kind of like out there, a bit wacky.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
which
I don't necessarily believe all of it, but it's fun to argue, isn't it?
Of course it is,
you know.
yeah. That's my
Indeed.
favourite
it
thing.
is. So yeah, I guess we're gonna
Crack
dive
on.
into ancient Egypt.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I hope you guys enjoy the spin that we do have a guest this time. It's not going to be every time, but you'll probably see
No,
Tom.
I'm expensive. Yeah.
He's charging us by the minute. You'll probably see Tom a bit here, you know. He's a good conversationalist, and that's what we need. So, guys, we're going to dive in to ancient Egypt. Katie, would you like to introduce our first topic?
Yes. So the first topic I want to talk about is pyramids.
Uh-huh.
Pyramids.
I'm going to just drop it down for you.
Yeah.
Tell you the first one was the Djoser. I'm going to say it's Djo. Do you think it's Hoser step?
How's it spelled?
Djoser.
I think this is
The
D,
Jose.
silent.
What, a
Or- or
silent
yeah,
D?
The like Jose.
Jose.
Hoser step. And it was built approximately in 3000 BC.
Well, that's the first one
Ooh.
built.
Yes.
We think.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Was
What
it
we
a
know.
smooth one or a stepped one?
Steppy.
Steppy.
Step up to the streets.
It's interesting, isn't it, with those, like, the smooth ones, there's like so much that you can talk about with the smooth. There's so many more theories because of the different stones that they use and the more advanced construction. Like, you can't fit a piece of paper between those.
It's like they
stones.
use like such advanced
it's
tools
like
almost.
some of the stuff that you see is so insane. It's like there's actual laser cut or supposedly or what looks like machine tool cuttings. It's so cool, and you know, like that's a fucking pushing us way further on beyond just pyramids because
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah,
that's
that's like-
technology. Like that's
Well, I watched a
lost
video
technology and
of
that-
some guy demonstrating how they think they did it. It was like a saw, and they used to throw like almost sand onto it to like.
And water, was it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
sand and water to.
like-
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like.
Smooth-
What, to keep
smooth
it
it?
like to smooth it out.
I don't really know.
Yeah, that's it. That's
I'm not very
interesting.
good with DIY.
Exfoliates.
Yeah.
Exfoliates.
Exfoliate the brick.
Yeah.
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 Do you know what? I'm so glad you're here, Katie.
Ah.
Exfoliating the
guys.
bricks.
Yeah.
Um,
Teach us all.
And then the Great Pyramid was the second one, which was raised a century later.
And that
So-
was smooth, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was smooth. But
Mm.
what I can't get my head around is that ancient Egypt was like for a long time. That there's like so many different parts.
Periods in.
periods
Yeah.
within it.
Yeah.
You have like first kingdom,
Well, the-
first intermediate
yeah.
kingdom.
Intermediate
yeah,
kingdom.
like the
I-
old kingdom and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird stuff. Like they separate Egypt into different time periods because there's different cultures. Like they've got different. So like, I think we were talking about Cleopatra just before, weren't we? And saying she's a Greek Macedonian leader, not an Egyptian leader. So they had different cultures, different influences. They had the Roman influence.
Yeah.
Greek.
The Roman
Yeah.
influence.
That would have been
that's
like
yeah.
towards. the end of-
Well, that's a very interesting one, isn't it? The Romans, because we know in this country we can see what the Romans did for our infrastructure, and you
Big
look
up the roads.
What have the Romans ever done for us?
yeah. Well, that's a really good question, isn't it? Actually, but
All I know is that they built roads and toilets.
yeah, I mean, it was just general what we consider to be civilized society these days. They almost put restrictions on what was acceptable in society, and I don't think that there's as much evidence with that with Egypt. I mean,
No.
you don't look at you don't see like Roman roads and stuff.
No,
or,
no.
or at least in the same condition. That might be because of the desert, the sand and everything.
Yeah.
But you don't know, do you?
Mm.
We
I mean,
can't
I
say.
think the big question to ask if we're starting with pyramids is how
And why?
and
really?
why.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
go on.
Yeah.
How? Let's tackle the how.
Yeah. Has anyone got any ideas?
I mean,
I just know
Does
it.
anyone like
I
to
just
share?
know it from probably primary school or maybe secondary school where they got massive fuck off bricks,
Oh yeah.
rolled them along some logs, and then they stacked them really high.
Mm.
Simple
I
form.
think that maybe that's partially some truth
Yeah.
to that.
There must have been a
I think
lot of
that's-
people on
I
there.
think
though.
that's the most likely solution.
I mean,
that-
it was
But
built by
what's-
slaves. Wasn't it?
well,
They were built by slaves.
that's a big discussion point.
Oh, really?
There's
Because-
yeah, sorry.
No, you go because you go.
No,
Oh,
that's
Katie.
Sorry,
okay.
I cut you in there.
That's okay. No, I was just saying that there's a lot of like stuff within Egypt. I was watching a few things recently. Like they have people passing knowledge down in Egypt.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
like local story keepers, people who
Oh,
keep,
right, okay.
keep the tale of
Yeah.
what happened in Egypt. And one of the main things, I can't remember the guy's name honestly, but he was a really old dude, really
Mr. Egypt.
Mr. Egypt himself, and he said there were categorically no slaves.
I mean,
And I mean, it's opinion, but this is coming from a source that's not a Western archaeologist, and I think that's quite an interesting
Yeah,
thing to
Mm,
very
point-
true.
point
That's
out.
true.
Yeah, that could be.
I just don't know how they would have got voluntarily that much manpower to build things. Like the pharaohs were clearly
Unless they were
ruling the
My-
land.
they were just an architectural civilization, as opposed to what we consider like a farming civilization.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess
So-
maybe.
My thought is that, like, the population we have now, it could be like think of how little there is. Don't know how to like word this well, but there's so many of us now
Yeah.
that could I'd be like, oh yeah, we could make some pyramids. But back then,
We
could
could
we
do it.
have made?
Yeah, piss me.
Would we
Oh,
have
wow.
had enough people? Would there have been enough people to make it?
I mean,
And remember,
Yeah,
like
of course they were.
I remember, like they probably wouldn't have all been healthy. Like they would have.
Well, true.
They were all kind of. Insects,
How
weren't
long?
they? Or-
I don't
Is
know.
there a time period on how
Yeah.
long it took them to build?
well, it would have been a generational thing.
Wasn't
Right.
it something like
because-
the Great Pyramid was
so-
like
so you-
23 years or something?
Right.
Like,
Right. Well, that seems like a really quick turnaround. To
Really?
Me.
Yeah,
Well,
23 years,
23
yeah.
years is super quick. I mean, considering that I saw this thing that the Shimizu Corporation, they're a Japanese grand architecture firm.
yeah.
They've proposed a pyramid structure,
Yeah.
like a mega city pyramid to house 1 million people over the Bay of Tokyo.
Oh yeah, we used to talk
It's
about this.
incredible,
Mm.
but they, that's got a time frame of 100 years.
Yeah.
I think they said
What?
100.
Oh yeah.
2110 was when they could possibly get that done by.
Really, with that much technology,
modern
especially
technology.
in Japan,
the-
like, they have.
It takes the British
Maths.
Council like 10 years to fix a pothole in the road.
Yeah,
so
that's
come on.
true.
But I think the thing with the mega pyramid, the thing that the Shimizu Corporation have kind of proposed is that it's I know it's a completely different project, like completely different, right?
Yeah.
But it's still comparable in scale
Right,
to
yeah.
what they had to achieve back then, and I think that's like something to think about, that if it would take us that long to build something that is a futuristic design, and the pyramid would have been a futuristic design back then, right?
Yeah, of course.
If it's going to take us that long in the modern day to create something like that, then with primitive tools, think about how long it would have taken them to make that pyramid.
Katie,
what
the
blows
fact
my
checker,
mind.
has
Do you
got.
think this is wrong?
Say it.
So
say
it's
it,
the
'cause I can't say it.
unmuseum.org,
The Unmuseum.
and it says, what does it say? It says 20
It
years
says 20 years.
for
Right,
100,000
okay.
slaves.
Herodotus was told by his
100,000
Egyptian
slaves.
guides that it took 20 years
That is,
for a force of 100,000 oppressed slaves to build the pyramids.
I think that's a huge number of people.
With another 10 years to build a stone causeway that connected it to a temple in the valley below.
Well, I
I'm gonna
agree.
try and
That
see
I
if there's a
agree
more
with. I think
reliable source.
that the pyramids were built along the Nile, because the Nile was the lifeblood of Egypt. So if you look at where the pyramids are sat, they're a long way from the Nile at this point, but they follow the ebb and the flow of where the Nile would have been.
Right,
so they
okay.
sit shifted several miles now away from where the Nile is, but that's where it would have run down, and there is evidence that there was procession, like ceremonial procession down the pyramids side. So they definitely held like massive cultural significance. So I don't think that getting the entire population to band together to build something like that would be
Too much.
impossible in a world where you don't have incredible opportunity. Like,
Yeah, I guess
There's
what
no
else?
iPhones, is there?
no.
No, there's
And that's
probably
all we
not much
care
to
about.
do.
Yeah,
No,
it's
but like, yeah, I guess that's right. What would they have been doing if they weren't doing that?
Farm.
They probably would have been building something
Farming.
else. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Yeah.
And I guess if they had a pharaoh telling them, "This is what we're going to do, guys. Let's get going."
Let's get going.
Yeah.
I
But
guess
that
why
would
not?
have been someone's life to build.
Yeah.
To 20 years. Even if it did take 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's-
you've got
that's
to think
like-
about how the average lifespan of an,
Exactly,
of an
yeah,
Egyptian
exactly.
is.
Years,
Not
nine,
much
10
harder than
years.
that, is it?
No, exactly.
So that is someone's life to build. Yeah.
That's mad.
A massive
That's crazy.
structure.
And then obviously there's the whole thing that we have spoken about before with the cave systems that are underneath the pyramids that connect to water from the Nile running through them
Now-
to create current and to
Yeah.
potentially be harnessing. Am I right in saying like electromagnetic energy?
I don't think it's electromagnetic. It's hydroelectric.
Right.
But I think that the whole point is that it's similar to Tesla's principle of like drawing energy from the magnetosphere. So it's like free, contactless wireless energy. It was the idea, right? So the pyramids, the old pyramids, the Great Pyramids are built on aquifers. I think that's what you mean, like the kind of cave systems. It's like porous rock underneath the pyramids, and there's chambers that go down deep into the aquifers, like single chambers going up with granite passageways. Now granite's interesting because it's like slightly a charged rock. It carries current, so only the corridors that lead up from the aquifer are covered in granite, meaning that they could carry an electrical charge from these aquifers underneath. I mean, Tesla built his, the Tesla tower that had that big ball of,
Yeah.
that was built on an aquifer. Just out of
strange.
interest,
Because
right?
there was proof that, well, not proof, but like potential proof that there was no like coal torches or anything used for light. So they were saying that they were harnessing that energy
Clean,
to create
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, like there's no
I don't know
carbon residue.
If there was a button, I'd press it.
Jan
and
is
call
a
bullshit.
skeptic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a bullshit button.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like,
but
it's pretty weird.
Yeah, you like
Yeah.
how?
That is
Well,
the big question.
I think that this is just a working theory. I think it's just quite an interesting
Yeah.
point to
Oh,
raise,
yeah, yeah.
because we really don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we really don't. And I think that just agreeing with what Egyptologists said nearly 100 years ago is ignorant in a way. I mean, I know that yes, they are the greatest minds of the time, probably in that, but that is very much of the time, and I think it's important to be a skeptic with stuff that we don't know about. And I'm not saying that these were giant machines, but it could have been.
We're not saying that they're not either.
No.
You know?
I'm just saying that we don't know. right.
Are they proven
Yeah.
to not be tombs, or
They didn't find mummies. Well, no, they found mummies in some of them. In some of those stepped pyramids,
This
they
might
found.
be a nice transition
Mm.
to
Yeah.
mummies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
so the stepped ones were the first one was a step one,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but then they built step ones later as well.
and they were kind of
but
after
quite significantly later.
and after
so I-
investigation, didn't it show that they were nowhere near as kind of
Yeah, the technology.
technology advanced?
It's almost
basically.
like they lost the ability to build intricately.
What was done, yeah.
Or they lost interest, and that's could be more likely.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, as humans do.
I mean, if
you
you're
lose
spending your
interest.
life building pyramids, it probably gets boring at some point,
Well,
doesn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
You just do half a job.
I
that'll
just
do.
googled how many there
80?
are, and apparently there's 80.
80
Right,
pyramids.
yeah.
There are about 80 pyramids
I thought there
known
was
today.
What, dotted around?
No, there's quite a
From
lot. I didn't know there was that
ancient
many,
Egypt.
but there's a procession arch. They
There's
follow
3
the
largest and best
pyramids down,
preserved, which were built in Giza.
And they are the
Wow.
Great Pyramids.
Yeah, the ones
Yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah,
plateau.
yeah.
Wow.
Mad.
Right, so a smooth transition into our next kind of bullet
Love.
point that we've got here
Is
is mummification.
sorry.
No, you give us what you got on the screen, Kate.
Okay.
Mummies.
I just written a few little things down. So there was like different types of mummy, like mummification. The deluxe version that you can
It's
get
like a
Oh,
for
like
like a spa
$24.99.
treatment. Yeah, that's great.
was that your brain could be extracted
Oh, through-
from
oh.
your nose.
Yeah, the little hooks, man.
That'd be easy for you, Kate, wouldn't it?
Oh.
Wow.
And the entrails removed from the hollow body. What are entrails?
It's
That
your
is your insides.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh my god.
nice.
Yeah.
That's
And it was dried out with salts.
Oh.
So where would they get? How would they pull them out without cutting you open? I'm
Through the
presuming they
nose.
didn't. All of it
Oh,
through your
no,
nose.
Really?
no.
Yeah.
I mean, I know my nose is big, but I don't think my entrails will fit out of my nose.
Yeah, well, that means it would have to come up through the throat.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
Sick.
Oh god, I feel
Oh, I don't like
uncomfortable.
that.
No.
They'd have to. Oh god, I don't.
Would it come like
Your
out of-
brain
think about that, but
first
they'd
as
have
well.
to cut through all your. They'd have to cut out your stomach.
There
and
must
everything
have
and then
been-
get the
Yeah.
rest.
Maybe there must have been something that they took, or they.
Surely it would have just been. They would have just.
Cut you off.
That would have made so much more sense.
Sorry,
right?
why
But
did
is
they
that
do
to,
this?
is that to preserve?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like honor or?
yeah, I think they obviously did it. They didn't do it with everyone. They did it with
Mm.
like pharaohs
Yeah.
and leaders, whatever. I don't really know, but I think I'm not sure if I'm right in saying that they did it because they thought that they were like intelligent leaders and they wanted to preserve their
Right.
brain to kind of maybe.
No, but like the entrails and everything.
Oh, I
like,
don't
why
know.
Would you,
Well,
why would you
They
want them?
keep them in jars. I think they
Yeah.
kept them in canopic. I think they were called canopic
Yeah,
jars.
yeah.
And left them in the tombs of the pharaohs or whatever, so that they could take them with them to the afterlife. And I don't know. I don't know
Right.
why, but
Right.
maybe they saw that the body decayed over time, and
They wanted to preserve.
they wanted to preserve the
yeah.
organs in a separate way.
Even that's quite like intelligent, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And to
Not
know that
saying-
salt does that as
yeah,
well.
not
That's-
saying that
yeah.
like taking someone's entrails out the nose is intelligent, but like
I mean,
thinking,
it is.
thinking
To be able
about
to do
that
it, yeah.
ahead. So they must have they must have looked at
Yeah.
a decaying body and gone, well,
We don't want
wanna
that to
preserve, we don't want
happen,
that to
yeah.
happen, and so it must have been almost science in a
Oh,
way.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
they've-
It's like
But
early
it's like
science.
with, it's like
observed
they
and
knowledge
used
of the brain.
Yeah.
as
they
well is
used honey
amazing.
as well. So honey
Ah.
is like the magical ingredient for mummies.
What, for what embalming?
Yeah. So it's
Right.
like it's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. Like you put like honey on something, it's gonna stay
It's also good for a
chilled
sore throat.
forever.
Mm.
Always,
lemon,
yeah,
just
yeah.
in case you
bit of
didn't
lemon.
know. Jan is our doctor.
But guys,
Ancient
luckily,
Egyptian
I
techniques,
found a
yeah.
mummification step by step guide,
Oh.
so we can
Should we do a
all
Are we gonna
demonstration?
perform it?
Surprise, Tom. That's what you're here for.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
jeez, yeah.
Oh,
So
dear.
where's step one? It's all a bit long.
Oh,
You
yeah.
insert a hook through the hole near the nose and pull out a part of the
Through a
brain.
hole near the nose. So not
In
through the
through the nose.
through the nose.
It must be
Near the note. What, you just make a hole?
maybe you make.
No, because I went to Highclere Castle when I was younger. And
Where's
I
that?
remember seeing a mummy. I've seen a bloody mummy.
You
It's pretty
right,
pretty
right.
weird.
That's why he's here, guys.
And it did have like one nose.
A little
It
bit
was,
bigger.
it was. I remember it being a she as well. This mummy, and she had she was some rich lady, and she had a huge nostril.
So it must.
So
they-
maybe
they
they
had- they
maybe they
had pulled it.
insert slightly. They insert a
maybe
bit
they
more.
Ah, yeah,
or maybe they
maybe.
pull it apart or something.
Mm.
I don't know enough about the anatomy of.
Oh,
like, the
they do
sinus.
They
cut the
do
body.
cut.
Ah,
Make a
okay.
cut on the left side of the body near the tummy. Remove
Okay.
all internal organs. Let the internal organs dry and place the lungs, intestines, stomach, and liver inside canopic jars.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Place the heart back inside the body, which is weird because when we talk about Tutankhamun,
Yeah.
they never found his heart.
Really?
Ah.
And then rinse inside of body with wines and spices. Cover the corpse with salt for 70 days. After 40 days, stuff the body with linen or sand to give it a more human shape. And
Put it
after
in
the
the
70
oven and roast it
days,
for 40 minutes.
200 degrees Celsius.
after the 70 days, wrap the body from head to toe in bandages and place in a
Sarcophagus.
Thank you.
Well,
That's
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, step by step.
That's
It's,
a bit
it
gross,
is
yeah.
odd.
I mean, obviously we bury bodies still now,
Yeah.
which I have,
we don't always bury bodies.
I know, but I have
No,
always
that's true.
found burial a really weird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, whenever I pass, I do not want to be buried. I want to be
Cremated.
cremated. I just think it's weird.
Well, you're also taking up space where you're not needed. I know that's on a basic level.
Absolute savage.
I mean, in a world where we're overpopulation is becoming an issue,
Yeah.
and there's graveyards are huge.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, they take up a
Massive
lot of space. I think it's actually pretty. I guess you have to know about the issue really, but it's kind of arrogant.
In a way, yeah, I get what you mean.
I can understand like royals and like.
But why?
But
I
being,
can't.
wait, no.
can't.
I can understand like royals and like this thing being kept in churches and things, like being buried in churches.
I mean, that's a whole other conversation
Yeah.
with religion,
That's
which
a whole other.
Okay, sorry.
I could
I think-
definitely go for, but not
Yeah,
today.
I think we should
Maybe not.
avoid the royals.
I
At
don't.
all
Okay,
costs.
right.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
I'll rephrase it. I can see why royals are in churches
In terms of like,
and they have to be kept there, like kind of like,
ceremony,
like pyramids.
I mean, I think we move beyond talking about Egyptians, but would it be in that case is it ceremonial what they did for the mummies, or was that?
Well, someone said something, I can't remember who said it, but they said like the reason like for death wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
They
I
didn't
said
know
that
it was
they-
death.
They used to call it going west.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Yeah,
Oh,
going
God,
west.
So
west.
that means. So
Is
that
that
means
because the sun?
The sun rises in the east and sets in the
Is
west. Yeah.
Um,
So they.
Well, yeah.
Clever.
I mean,
oh, they
Am
were
I
going
wrong?
to.
no, you are
God.
right because it rises in the east
Yeah,
and it lands
but-
in the rising sun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And yeah, so they thought that their body was like.
yeah, so that means that they didn't think as we think, as in when you die you're dead, or as many of us think when you die you're dead.
Yeah.
They believed that there was something else.
Did they
It
believe
was
in
an afterlife,
reincarnation
yeah.
or?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure
I
about
don't
that.
know,
No.
but-
I mean,
I can't remember the-
I don't think that they would have done because they had an afterlife. So I think that they believed that this particular person moved on as they were.
Right.
So because otherwise they wouldn't have left loads of riches and stuff
Yeah,
in their
yeah.
tombs because there wouldn't be any point because they'd just be reborn as another person.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
they wouldn't have had so much ceremony over death.
Do you know what they believed about the afterlife?
There was gods for it,
Yeah.
wasn't there?
There were
definitely gods,
deities. They
yeah.
had deities, and they actually believed that the pharaohs were extensions of those.
Right.
So
yeah.
So were deities
The-
like their gods?
Yeah.
Right.
They had gods. They had loads of gods. They had so many gods. It was a type of animism, I think, in terms of they thought that everything had its own spirit, like its own
Yeah.
god. So Ra moved the sun. Ra was the sun god, and it was carried across the sky by a scarab beetle rolling it. You know, they roll dung.
Yeah.
That's just what it was like literally like that. They thought there was a giant scarab beetle in the sky that they couldn't see rolling.
That's
The
crazy.
sun.
It's crazy the
across.
stuff that people come up with, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you would from
Yeah.
your visuals.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
that
Like,
was what I
you
mean. Like
see
back
it.
then,
Yeah.
to like think that kind of thing. That's mad.
Yeah.
What have we got next, Kate? So I feel like have we got any more on mummification?
Yeah, I just if we were going into like I found a funny article called "King Tut's mummified penis hints at political struggle?" Question mark.
Right.
Haven't read that much into it,
Okay.
but
Sorry, so did you say the word penis then?
yeah,
Sorry, guys. Explicit content.
Why?
I don't know.
Is there something to do with like circumcision or something? Bringing in like different like religious.
That's bizarre. Kate, you can't drop something into conversation if you don't know what you're
we
going to
need-
say.
we
You
need
see.
Yeah,
the
mate,
facts.
that's-
That's a
I'm
big
You
sorry,
point.
can't just say penis and not
I
say
feel quite
elaborate
bad
on it.
about
Just
that.
die.
Yeah, 'cause we're all
Diabolical.
just panicking now.
When Howard Carter removed the linens from King Tut's mummy, he discovered that the penis stood upright at an almost 90-degree angle I think that was deliberate. In
I
other
know what
words,
was
the men
hungry.
who embalmed Tut arranged his penis to give him an erection, again evoking the fertility.
Wait, so
of
he
Osiris.
so he had a boner when he was dead.
Well, I think they gave him one.
They gave him one.
Yeah, they put him into position.
What, they gave him
Yeah.
they gave him boner when he was dead.
To show he was
Yeah.
fertile.
Yeah,
Right,
his,
that's
like
quite-
his
that's quite-
virility or something.
That's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yes.
That is.
Just remember when I die.
I know. We know what we're
Make
doing.
sure you have a boner.
Yeah. Open casket.
I'll let him know.
just a spike.
Wearing my best suit.
Oh God.
Do we
Sunday
want to?
best.
Do we want to see a close up?
Do
What of
we?
his boner? Yeah, go
Yeah.
on then.
Come on then.
Are we gonna
which
turn
one
this to the
is
camera?
it?
Yeah. Remember for the people that aren't that are listening,
Yeah, you can go and look up
this
this on your own.
Oh,
they won't be able to see this.
is that
boner.
it? Is
Oh.
that little thing there?
To be honest, I don't even know if they do want to. You guys who are listening on Spotify and Apple, I just
No way.
count yourselves lucky.
Just
No
go
way.
on.
Teeny
Show
that.
me.
Spoiler alert! It is tiny.
What a poor guy. I mean, no, guys, he was literally wasn't he 9? No, he was
He
19
was a boy, wasn't he?
when he died.
I
So,
think when they were.
I mean, that's long enough.
I mean, yeah,
Mate,
you
And
should.
that's not long enough.
I think when they were conserving it, it fell off though
Oh no.
during the course of examination.
What a poor guy.
That's why they're cursed.
We could talk
So
about. We could
'cause
go on to
Yeah.
That's
to
my
and talk
theory.
about the curse.
Yeah. Well, it's just messing around with his junk.
Yeah, now
Got cursed.
because now he's like not fertile. He's like, well, I'm gonna kill you all now.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I mean, that's if you believe in the vengeful spirits of ancient pharaohs. But
From playing with your boner.
Apparently there was
It's
some
all linked.
sticky stuff around the base.
it's probably glue.
I can
Yeah,
tell you what
it's
that is.
Yeah.
Jan's familiar with the sticky stuff. Oh dear.
I can definitely tell you what that is.
But yeah, okay. I guess that's a
Well,
nice
thanks
end
for that,
to our
Katie.
section.
That was
Oh, so many jokes to be made.
Oh, there was
Kate.
too many
Oh.
jokes. Yeah.
okay,
Some-
guys.
Some
we
facts. Sorry.
So unbelievably rude. I'm gonna start again. So, guys, we're diving into our next topic, which is gonna be Tutankhamun, well, pharaohs in general,
King Tut.
King Tut and his curse. What have you got, Kate?
So it was he. Do you want to know about him or his tomb
I
being
think
found?
him. I think he's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So he ascended to the throne in 1333 BC.
And he was 9, wasn't he?
He was aged 9, 10.
See, that alone just boggles my mind. I know that it was a completely different civilization, but at 9,
Yeah.
I was learning to ride a BMX. I
Yeah.
wasn't ruling the
Skating.
country.
I was
do you know
holding
what I
a
mean?
Barbie doll, going like, "Woo!"
So King Tut was 9.
Yeah.
So when we were making fun of his penis, we were making fun of a 9-year-old.
Well, that's
No,
what
no,
I
'cause
said.
he didn't-
No, he
Oh,
died.
we're going
He,
to
no,
now.
no, no.
Died when
He
he
died at
was
the age of
19.
19. So he should have developed by that point.
So we're
surely.
taking a piss of a 19-year-old's penis.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fine. That's fine.
That's right.
It's all good.
Yeah.
He married his half sister,
Oh.
Right.
which
Nice.
is, you know,
Was there a lot of incestuous
of
relationships
course,
back then?
Of course there was.
I've got a pretty weird fact about this.
Oh,
Go
go
on.
Go
on.
on.
So everybody in history can be traced back to royalty. Like everybody alive can be traced back to royalty.
Right.
Because, I mean, literally, you look at
I'm a
like
queen,
someone
so-
like Genghis Khan, for example. He changed the carbon footprint of the human race because he killed so many people. Like he literally slowed down global warming.
Fucking hell.
What
but-
a
but,
legend.
like you look back at the year, I think it's the year 700, with like Charlemagne and like Charles the Great and everyone like that, and he's like the father of all modern Europeans. Genghis Khan's like the father of a lot of modern like Asian civilizations, and there were 1.3 million people back then in the year 700.
And it's
Really?
Which is more than you have ancestors. No, sorry, less than you have
Less, yeah.
ancestors. So, like, you have more ancestors than people were alive back then. So it literally means that the amount of inbreeding was like through the roof to get us here. Like, we literally like, we
Yeah.
literally there wasn't enough people alive back then for us all to have different ancestors. Like we're all
Well, that's
related.
just that kind
Like,
of just makes sense, doesn't it? We all
Yeah,
came.
well,
We all.
yeah.
It might be a stupid thing to say, but we all came from somewhere, like from
Yeah.
one origin
I-
point,
in-
whether it's Adam and Eve
Mm.
or it's whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Well, in a horrible sort of sense, that's how evolution works, isn't it? Like say a bird gets trapped on like a Galapagos island or something, and and it starts to evolve differently based on its environment,
Yeah.
and then it reproduces with other birds of that same characteristics.
Yeah.
Like it's why we look so different from our ancestors in the past, like the lynx or whatever, the missing lynx. We look so different because we've mated with people who have the same characteristics as us,
Right.
and
So weird.
that's kind of screwed up. But yeah, the half sister thing is like
Classic
Yeah.
incest.
doesn't shock me,
No, I
not
mean-
at
but
all.
it's still pretty weird, right?
It's not his sister. That'd be weirder.
I mean, they definitely had the same parent though, didn't they? Like,
yeah.
Oh
that's
dear.
that's pretty
Um,
bad.
Poor old, talking about like incest stuff, it came with lots of like, you know, he wasn't the most healthiest boy.
The
he-
most
The
healthiest.
most healthiest.
He had, there's lots of things, he had to have a cane because one of his legs was
Oh.
longer than the other. And he had an overbite, and I think it's like a cleft palate that we'd call it now.
Right.
So, although he was royal,
Yeah.
Quite
what
fucking ugly.
I was going to try and word it nicer than that, but he
Had a lot
wasn't
of
our
deformities.
stereotypical, what we'd probably think of what he looked like.
regal.
Yeah, he didn't look regal.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's funny because his tomb was, like, fresh, dope,
Yeah.
So
gold.
lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess
Hmm.
everyone back then would have some. If everyone is incestuous, which makes sense because
Yeah.
one, would they know that they shouldn't be sleeping
I
with?
don't think so.
Because there's no like they wouldn't have the technology. Well, we don't know what they were doing, but like
But
they wouldn't know that the
I
DNA
think
would.
you'd start to realise.
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, my kids are really fucked. Like,
this isn't right.
oh, maybe I should
Something's
stop
going on.
sleeping with my sister.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that like it's like that's the only way people know. Like I heard this thing like the only reason we figured out that that like two people's genetics create like a baby is by looking at a cow. It's like people figured it out from domestic animals,
Oh right. What?
like
The-
the
the-
genetics
yeah.
thing. Because before you'd have there was like sounds pretty it's a pretty deep topic, but like a woman would sleep with loads of men, like loads of men, and the idea was that a baby would just be created with what was left there or whatever. It's pretty
was left.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, right? But yeah, they looked at these cows that they were domesticating, and when we started domesticating animals, they were like, oh, this cow with like black and white spots, and this brown cow have had a child, and it's like got brown patches and black and white spots also. It's like, oh, okay, maybe
Maybe
that's
s-
how
maybe
it,
there's something
maybe that's
there.
how it works.
That's where that's
yeah.
science came from.
But yeah, I mean, it does. We're not bashing too. You know, I'm sure that it was not the norm, but a lot more normal than it is now to have an
Yeah.
incestuous
Yeah, of
relationship.
course.
So, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. I'm sure surely everyone would have had deformities and
Yeah, people were just sickly back then. weren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
I think
because they didn't
Well,
have modern
generally-
medicine, did they? They
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have
y-
modern
well,
science.
It says scoliosis, which I'm not too sure
It's a
what.
bent spine.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like so they fuse together. Like
What?
the
No, I just think that they're out of alignment. I think.
It,
Oh,
so it can
okay.
be like a wiggly spine, basically,
Oh, I see. So he had that.
which is
Yeah.
common now
He was-
still.
So he's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
fucked up. He had a fucked up face, fucked up back, and he had a tiny willy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh.
he wasn't,
Poor lad. Poor lad.
but he was
Although
the
he had
king.
a
He
bloody
was
nice
the
tomb,
king.
didn't
Yeah,
he?
he had a
So,
well
fair
nice
play.
tomb.
Yeah.
He still got more than
Um,
me.
There's lots of speculation about how he died because obviously ill health is a massive. It like just life wasn't
You've
really on his
literally
side, to be
listed
honest.
a load of reasons why he could have died prematurely as
Yeah.
well just now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So-
very true.
I don't even think he did anything that big in his reign, to be honest. Like
That's
I don't
why I
think
wonder why
he-
he's such a
But I-
famous pharaoh.
Is it just because we found him and
we found
Yeah.
him this
That's-
early. Well,
yeah,
this late.
yeah.
Because he's
And
one
we've
of the only.
well
Am I right in
preserved.
saying? Yeah, the only.
His tomb was like completely intact. Like
Yeah.
nothing had been robbed or anything from it.
Well, it happened with him, didn't it? They opened his sarcophagus and he crumbled
Yeah.
for the most part.
He crumbled.
Was that
Well-
just because he was let out to
The oxygen, yeah. Well, obviously, like he was mummified, so
Yeah.
so there's like he's still about, but like it's happened in the past. Like archaeologists go in like flat-footed and mess around with things they shouldn't. Like Agamemnon, the Greek leader, who I don't know if any of you've read like the Iliad or the Odyssey or anything. Like he's like a Greek leader of Mycenae, which was like a really
Okay.
powerful Greek civilization. And when he was discovered by, I think, a guy called Schliemann, like a archaeologist, he pulled. They used to wear gold death masks in Greece, and he pulled the death mask of Agamemnon off, and his face crumbled. but for a few seconds it was perfect,
Yeah.
like snapshot.
Yeah.
And like
That's
he
so
he
weird.
famously said, "I've gazed upon the face of Agamemnon," because bear in mind he's a big figure in classical literature,
Right. Okay.
like or
I've heard quite
epic
a bit. I've heard a
poetry.
bit about
Yeah.
him.
And like you know, people go in and they don't understand what they're messing with,
Nah.
and like who knows what these like pharaohs, you know, or like significant figures that we have found would have actually looked like if we'd have just left the tomb alone
And just
been
let
really
it.
really careful.
Yeah.
Like,
So
what would we know?
do we know when was he discovered, Tutankhamun?
He was discovered. He was founded in 1915 in the
Okay.
Valley of the Kings. It's one of the smallest tombs, and it was completely intact.
So he was in a pyramid.
No.
No, he was in the Valley
Of the Kings is a different
Oh, I
location
thought
entirely.
we found him in a pyramid. Okay.
I think it's really, really like a common misconception that we find mummies in pyramids.
Yeah.
Like you think about how many pyramids there are.
80.
Yeah, and we really haven't found many.
No.
Not many mummies. And if they were built for that purpose, we'd find mummies in every single one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like you would. And you'd find all of the riches.
And I mean, even if
that come along with that. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like grave diggers, but
yeah, but even then you'd find like
there'd be evidence
Yeah.
of what was going on in there, and the real thing is that they were just incredible marvels of engineering, like, and that's all we know about them. But like no mummies. I don't.
no mummies.
No mummies.
Well, for the very very limited discovery
Few.
of mummies,
Yeah.
it's like hinting at they've been moved there like after death, like posthumously. Like the Valley of the Kings was the tombs.
So
That's
do you
strange.
think that what do you reckon they were all put in the Valley of the Tombs and Valley of the Kings? Sorry. Valley of the Kings and then moved to the pyramids, or the pyramids and then moved?
I can't really begin to know. I think we just all have to speculate about something like that. I think that the pyramids were obviously always seen as a massive symbol and sigil of the civilization that the Egyptians had. And I think even beyond the era in which bear in mind that if they were living with these pyramids thousands of years after they were built. Like they were still there. They were massive cultural icons.
Yeah.
Like huge. And if you were a king, slightly power hungry, maybe,
You'd want to be buried
you'd
there.
want to be put in a pyramid.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'd want to be put somewhere special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm the king, you know. I deserve this. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. So it was founded by Howard Carter, but I think
The
the
expedition is that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to do that, they enlisted the help of an earl.
An
Ooh.
L.
Big shout out to George Herbert because he helped
Earl
find
Herbert.
Earl Herbert.
So
Well, he funded the expedition.
Yeah, he funded it all.
okay.
But yeah, and essentially they found lots bare stuff.
Yeah.
Did you know that Tutankhamun liked to he enjoyed, like, you know how we kill pheasants and stuff like that, and
Oh,
Right.
he liked killing ostriches
Ostriches.
and had like lots of lovely fans with ostrich feathers.
Oh, so that's where that thingy, that classic trope comes
yeah,
from.
that's
where you-
really interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
I've always thought that was palm leaves.
Yeah, so I think like we see there's the Romans with palm leaves, and weren't they? And
that
then
makes sense.
we see
Yeah.
Egyptians.
I can't really think
It's a
there
weird one,
aren't
isn't it?
palms, are there,
No,
around the Nile?
No.
I don't.
No, but that's interesting though, because ostrich I didn't think would be. I suppose it is an African creature,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Also, we can't.
But it depends
really
what it
know.
looked like
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah,
Could have
that's
been
true.
smaller,
could have been a
bigger.
bird. Also, there's like we don't know.
my mind.
He's blown her own mind.
Oh, I mean, you look at us. We were different creatures back then, even. Like really.
You clearly are, Katie.
You're
Ooh,
a different creature
Hey, you're
altogether,
getting
mate.
a lot of the,
I'm getting
a lot of the stick
roasted.
today.
I'm fine with it. It's fine.
dear.
I
Oh.
don't.
So we have our next little topic that we are going to discuss. It's going to be the hieroglyphs. Tom just bumped his head. Mystery of the hieroglyphs. They are a mystery to all of us, I
Yeah.
think. I don't really know what's going on with them.
So they're clearly a set of symbols, no? But,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah.
there's no reoccurring symbols to know that they were like an alphabet or like.
Well,
No.
they found the Rosetta Stone.
Yes.
In
That's interesting.
1799. Napoleon Bonaparte went was like, "Yo, take some horses, go to Egypt."
Is that what he said?
That's exactly what he said. Yeah. He said
And
it
try
like
and
that.
Yo, yo.
try and find some cool stuff. And then they did. They found that, but because did Britain have? Did they have were the British Isles? Had they bought Africa? Was there some kind of
we
they had to give it back to the British for some reason. I can't remember why.
what give back to the British?
What,
they
the Rosetta
found,
Stone?
Yeah, they found
Right.
the Rosetta Stone. They had to give
Right.
it back.
Without sounding like a really uneducated prick, what's the Rosetta Stone?
Just that program that we use to
it's-
learn
yeah,
languages.
that's what I thought it was.
It's a huge tablet with
Not an iPad.
the with the translations of the same sentence in like a load of different languages.
Right,
So
okay.
all of the languages that were spoken at the time, and Egyptian is one of them,
Greek.
which is quite incredible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphics. It was equivalent
There's
to.
Sumerian as well, wasn't there? I think.
I'll check that for
I
you.
don't know. I might be wrong. I might
That's
be wrong.
crazy though. Back in 17.
Shit
Well,
like that.
do we know when the Rosetta Stone was
Oh,
like?
it's I think it's
made.
I think it's a lot older than.
Yeah, of
than
course.
that.
So to have that in like that's mad.
Yeah. So
I think hieroglyphs. I'm going to sound stupid because like Mandarin, for example, is not a modern language, but it's
Yeah.
still spoken now,
it's based on symbols.
and it's kind
yeah.
of similar in the way that
Well, it's pictographic.
we have a 26
Alphabet.
character alphabet that we
Yeah.
build words to describe things with, whereas similarly in Mandarin, with I think is how hieroglyphs are kind of perceived, is that they're used as symbols. That one character describes something.
Yeah.
That is quite interesting though, because I watched a film the other day. It's quite a big film a couple of years ago. It's called Arrival.
Yeah, I really
It's
like
about
Oh,
like
I watched that,
the
aliens.
aliens land on
Yeah.
Earth and they
That's-
have to try and
yeah.
translate, communicate with the aliens.
Mm.
Turns out that their symbols that they use, obviously it's fictional, the symbols that they use aren't words. They
Yeah.
are a whole description.
Yeah,
They
it's
are
cyclical,
almost
isn't
par-
it?
Yeah.
You can start at any point, and that is all. That's the start and the end point
Exactly.
of the meaning. It's really,
So-
really clever concept.
So
Yeah.
that is just language in general, like how others perceive language.
Wait, I'm well confused. You're gonna have to
You're gonna have to watch the film, but
Okay.
basically what it is it's saying like our language and Western languages,
Yeah.
they are based on an alphabet.
Or
Okay.
European languages.
European languages are based on an alphabet.
Right.
Obviously, there is some variation in different countries,
Okay.
and that's how we make words with those
Right.
alphabets. And one
Like
word,
phonetics
Yes.
kind of
So
So
thing.
let's
Yeah.
say cat. CAT builds the word cat, and it describes what a cat is. Whereas in a language like Mandarin, I think they have one character that is
Right.
cat.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
have right.
Yeah.
This
That's
this
interesting.
this film, fictional, obviously, the aliens land on Earth. They've got to learn how to communicate with them. They then find a way of communicating, realize that these aliens are talking in like
Symbols.
Yeah, so they have one symbol for a verbal communication. That being that it says like it's like a whole paragraph in that one symbol.
Right.
So what I'm saying is I'm linking it to hieroglyphs, and is it like that where a symbol
Yeah.
doesn't say it's not a word, it's a whole thing.
Right.
So when you see like hieroglyphs of you see 'em,
Someone
don't you?
rowing a boat or
Yeah.
something like
That's
it's-
obviously it might be a symbol, but it might mean something totally different.
Yeah, it's context as
Yeah.
well. So they have like Mandarin, like you're saying. I think that's probably the closest thing that we can relate it to.
Well, yeah,
because
I think
that's-
Mandarin has something like 500,000 characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, talking about Mandarin, relating it to hieroglyphs, there is how many did we say?
50,000.
50,000 characters.
It was interesting. It said 20,000 in an average like comprehensive dictionary, which means there's 30,000 characters people just don't use even in a dictionary.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure in saying that they obviously then build sometimes longer words or phrases, or then obviously sentences
Yeah.
by like putting two.
Yeah.
I think our friend Leanne speaks I guess fluent Mandarin. She
Yeah.
doesn't know all the characters, but I don't think
No.
anyone
Yeah.
does.
I have a cousin
Yeah.
who can speak fluent Mandarin,
Yeah.
but he might not
You-
know
you
all
don't-
the,
I think it
the
said you need
characters.
about 8,000
Yeah.
to be like educated.
Yeah.
in
She said that
Mandarin.
I think it was an
Yeah.
example of computer. It was this isn't. Don't check me on this, but it was something like technology brain was like put together to create
Right.
computer. That isn't what it was. I can't remember what she said, but it's something like that. It's like
Yeah.
the way that they build.
German,
words is
German
really
is like that
interesting.
as well.
Yeah.
Compound like adjectives and stuff, and no, not adjectives. It's compound
Verbs.
nouns.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
there's
We-
what's
none
it?
of us know.
My brain. Yeah, so like Naturwissenschaften, like is
Right.
like that means biology. but you like you spread it out, and it's like
Is
you
it like
attach,
body science or
attach
something?
like words together. I'm not very good at German, but yeah, like they compound their nouns to
But
create new words.
There are also words like in different languages. There are words for like emotions that we don't have. So like there's a word,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a word in German, I can't remember the word, but it's the word
Oh,
for when you're in a car and you're annoyed at someone.
Right.
For there's a word.
You said
for
that
that.
there's a word
There-
for someone who has a punchable face.
Yeah, it's Backpfeifengesicht. It means a face that badly needs a punch. Yeah,
It's
we
like
don't
such a
have
good
that,
word.
do we? Like
No, we
punchable
don't.
face, but like it's not. It's
not a single
holds on
word.
a different meaning. It's like it's just interesting, like how there's more descriptors in different languages,
Yeah.
or I guess like language develops with what's required around it. So Afrikaans doesn't have superlatives. So,
Really?
Yeah. So if you're talking about how big a mountain is, you go, "That's a big, big mountain,"
Yeah.
or like a bigger mountain is a big, big, big,
Big
mountain.
mountain.
Yeah, I remember hearing that years ago. Again, that's probably something that needs fact checking. Like, no superlatives is quite a big statement, but yeah, I just think that the point was quite interesting that language develops around what's required.
Mm.
So
But hieroglyphs are a kind of a thing of their own in that obviously Mandarin is like their symbols, but they don't depict like images, whereas I think a lot of hieroglyphs do, don't they? It's a lot of
Yeah,
like
it's an image.
imagery,
Yeah.
like birds
Yeah.
and
Would it have come from like? Would that have derived from like the Stone Age, like the people from
well, I think a lot
back then, like they were writing on walls and stuff?
Maybe.
Is it maybe like a
Interesting.
a
a
turn
good point.
into,
maybe.
and they just made it official?
I think you slowly just start to like recognize stuff becomes recurring, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
then it becomes like a meme in society. And I'm literally not using that word as like an internet meme. I'm
No,
talking about like
it's a
a thing that
Societal.
literally like seeps through
Trend
society
almost,
until it's a trend everyone can recognize.
Mm.
And I think that's the same with language. So
Yeah.
words like Brexit, think about that as a word, right? We use
Yeah, it's
that
not
as
a-
just a word.
It's
a
not a
word
word
now,
though,
It's
is it?
not
No.
a word. That's Britain's exit.
Yeah.
But I guess
It's
you could
like-
compare that to colloquial like slang and
Yeah.
stuff like peng.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that just happened, Brexit, didn't it? I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why are we like giving that a name like that? Like this is too
Especially Brexit.
it's too
as well.
it's ridiculous.
Bloody
But
Brexit.
yeah, but
Bloody
but
Brexit.
it's like this is stuff that like seeps into society by what's required at the time as
Then
well.
with what we're talking about this as if it's a language. We're
Mm.
basing that on pictures. Like you just described, it's
Yeah.
pictures. That could have been.
Mm.
I mean, this is so out there, but it could have been art. They could have
Yeah,
just been doing
I
that
agree.
for fun.
True.
Like I write songs
Yeah.
to convey a message. They just might have been drawing, and they didn't
Maybe.
have.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
But then why would it have been on the Rosetta Stone if the purpose
Very
of the
true.
Rosetta Stone
Very
was
true.
That's language.
language?
Very true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a
Do, go on,
Unless it was
Hayes.
misrepresented.
Yeah.
I'm
never
going to
know.
just read a little bit from the British Museum blog. It's a broken part of a bigger stone slab, so there's only like half of it.
Okay.
It has a message carved into it, written in 3 types of writing, and then essentially it's like it's supposedly an official message called decree from the king. I wrote something about the General Council of Egyptian priests.
So
That's
do you know
weird.
how many languages were on the stone?
From what I found, the important thing for us is the decree is inscribed 3 times in so it's done 3 times.
Right.
So in hieroglyphics, Demotic, and ancient Greek.
right.
Okay.
Is there a picture of it? Have you got
Yes.
a picture of it? Show me. I'm intrigued.
We should go to the British Museum and look at it.
We should definitely do that.
But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That so that's not even the full stone. So there's other stuff that hasn't
There
been
must
recovered.
have been like another bit.
But you can see the
somewhere.
3 distinct segments, and I'm sure that this will be up on the screen as well.
yeah, for people
But-
watching on YouTube, you will.
Like
I'm
that-
sure
that-
get
like
us.
they are like we can't read. Oh, that's
No.
really annoying that it's the hieroglyphs that's been split.
But I think
As
Yeah.
well. Like that
what
makes
we
it
need.
hard,
I
doesn't it?
think-
Because
Okay,
we know
so-
a lot about Greek.
So I think I was getting confused with hieroglyphs and then the drawings that you see in tombs and stuff.
Oh right.
I think
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
getting
yeah.
confused with that.
Okay.
So ignore what I just said before. I
there's
was
a
on to-
Hieroglyphs are
reconstruction as well of
pictograms.
what
Yes.
it might have
Like the little
actually
pictograms.
looked like.
Oh yeah. Do we? This is going to sound really stupid, but do we know what language the spoken language of ancient
So there is
Egypt?
now there is an Egyptian language. I'm not sure
Do they not speak Arabic in Egypt?
Yeah, but it's
Modern
like a variation of Arabic.
So did they speak Arabic back then?
No,
do we know?
no.
What
Arabic's no.
is that new?
It's not new. It's I mean it's older than modern English.
So do we not know? Because obviously they weren't speaking in hieroglyph. I don't.
No. Well, I mean we don't. That's a really good question, actually. I have no idea.
Because that's interesting, isn't it?
You couldn't find that out as well.
I guess no. I guess
Well,
not.
oh yeah, this is another. Oh, guys, you're great at this. You're not even looking at my notes. But basically, we will. So basically, there was only 14 lines of the hieroglyphic script
on the Rosetta Stone.
But we will never, because of like the way. Oh, I don't know which website I got this from, but essentially, there could have been like a dictionary kind of thing before it. That's what I'm thinking is what this means. But we will never understand the phonetics of hieroglyphs.
How to actually
how to speak it.
Yeah, how to.
That's what I'm saying. So
weird,
so it may have actually been like a language.
Maybe they were speaking hieroglyph, and that was how they. But that's weird.
But
isn't
that's
it?
only the same as like with Mandarin, you have the symbol, but there is also a
of course.
phonetic way to say that symbol. So there is a word.
But it's just strange that we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know if they were speaking hieroglyph or they were speaking other. I don't know.
This is actually interesting. This little
Katie's just shaking
sorry,
the table.
I'm really sorry.
Sorry to you listeners. Just Hurricane Katie.
Hurricane Katie. The important thing for us is that the decree is described 3 times in hieroglyphs, suitable for a priestly decree, demotic, the native Egyptian script used for daily purposes, meaning language of the people. So is that saying that hieroglyphs may have just been for royalty and that the normal people
Yes, suitable for priestly decree. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's in the same way that maybe we would use Latin in the past to like dictate religious stuff like mass, stuff like that. That would all be done in Latin.
That's only changed in the past couple of years.
Yeah, and people didn't speak Latin for a long time. Like the general people wouldn't even understand what their religion was telling them.
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
They would literally have the interpretation of the priest. Yeah. And I guess that's it makes it a lot easier to control a population if they fully don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like it really does.
So the Pope, he reads his mass a lot of the time in a few different languages. Right. One of them being Latin.
Yeah.
Because obviously it was written in Latin. All mass was written in Latin. We guess.
Yeah.
But this is gonna sound like a stupid question. When was like English first, like Old English first spoken?
What type? Because there's the problem is we got invaded so often that language changed. The one that we speak, I think the most significant change was when
Germany, was it?
I think
Germanic language.
Yeah, well, we are a Germanic language. I mean, if you look back at Chaucer's Canterbury Tales and stuff, it's a different language. Even though that's Old English, it's impossible to read almost. You have to translate.
This is so interesting. This is a whole other topic we need to do.
Yeah,
so interesting.
But it does relate to
of course, because it's just
But
language has always interested me as a topic anyway.
Yeah,
like
very interesting.
The Normans.
From this, I'm getting that they actually did. Maybe they have understood some of hieroglyphics, but not.
Yeah, I think I learnt some about it. Some of it,
but not like enough
to understand it properly. It's crazy.
Yeah,
that's mad.
Classic hieroglyphs.
I've also written in my notes helicopter.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah. No, this is just a funny little thing that we were talking about, but it's an interesting point to make. I can't remember which pyramid it was in. It's not one of the major ones. But it's still on the tours of Egypt, and there's this little section of hieroglyphs that was covered up for a long time by another piece of rock, and it appears to show an Apache helicopter and a tank, right? Okay, yeah, I noticed that there's laughter, right? And I fully agree. It's almost a ridiculous concept, but
I don't know.
But when you look at it,
because it's what I've seen it. It's what it looks like.
It looks like what that I said, right?
And again, get the picture up.
Get them up.
See it.
I think the official thing from the Cairo Museum is that it is 2 overlapping sections of hieroglyphs.
That have
quite a big coincidence.
Somehow end up looking like an Apache.
Yeah,
no, look, there's the fighter jet. Look.
Is that it? Is this it?
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's really weird, isn't it?
I don't know.
Have a gander.
I am a skeptic, but also
How does one?
that is crazy. Look
Yeah.
at that. The top of that. Sorry sorry to people watching at home, listening at home. Sorry,
You will
We
see
will
it
put it
probably
up on the
quickly.
people watching. You will see this, I'm sure. But that's the top of that one there on the left is the top of a
Yeah,
helicopter.
That is definitely a
I
helicopter.
mean, that's an
I'm not
Apache,
gonna
isn't
lie.
it? That looks.
That looks like some spaceship.
Looks like a submarine.
This to me looks like an observatory.
That's mad.
I mean, I don't know. I think that is quite weird.
The ancient Egyptians were up to some like
So,
booky shit.
I
Honestly,
know for a fact that
Wait
was
till we get into
covered up.
conspiracy
That was
theories.
covered up with a stone, like at a later date for a long time by the Cairo Museum because it was inexplicable. They couldn't explain it.
so they
and
covered it up.
Yeah,
Knowingly.
well, it went against their narrative, and I mean, there's a really good picture
Yeah,
of
well,
the
the-
outlines.
You
of
see,
stuff.
but
The two over. So these are what people are saying. The two overlaying images are right. That's what people are
so
saying.
it
From
could be something
Seti the
different.
first and Ramesses the second, right? But
I don't
I don't know. The rest of the stone looks really smooth, doesn't it? Again,
It's-
I'm not an expert. We're just all looking at this trying to find.
That's what we got you. I
Find
thought you were an
aliens,
expert,
aren't we?
Tom.
Well, we're trying to find aliens.
Yeah,
what
I
we're
mean
here
that's
We're
what
trying to
we're
prove that aliens built the pyramids. Mate.
for. Yeah, time travel and all
Oh,
that.
Illuminati's real.
Guys, stay tuned for an alien episode. It will be coming.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I'm pretty sure Tom will probably be here for it. Oh dear.
um,
But yeah.
if you'll let me back.
Definitely
But
not.
yeah.
Okay, guys, I think we are going to have to wrap it up there. I mean, I think we could all probably talk for at least another
Yeah,
hour.
I'm just learning stuff here.
We're
I'm
gonna
It's-
get kicked
soaking
out
it
soon,
in.
aren't we?
Maybe we
Yeah.
could do a part two
Maybe.
at some point.
Yeah.
Some
But
point.
I've definitely really enjoyed this conversation. It's a bit of a lighter topic away from all the political stuff that we usually talk about, but it's good fun, you know. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there and
Wrap
stop
it
all,
up.
stop all the babble.
I thought it was quite a good topic.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Any
That's
final
good
thoughts?
spin. Your
Good
topic.
spin. Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Jan? You said a skeptic.
No, but I'm a skeptic. I don't believe that the aliens built the pyramids.
I mean, no.
I mean, we didn't get into that.
but it
Jan.
is
You
all
haven't
in
given me a
tr-
chance to
no,
change
no,
your
really.
mind. No, I'm only joking.
It is
man.
all interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's interesting how intelligent
They were.
they were,
yeah.
and now we just aren't anymore.
Ah, but they were modern humans. We're still modern humans. It's just unfortunately we're distracted.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong thing to say. We are intelligent. It's just
I mean, you're not.
I'm not.
But we're not socially intelligent, are
No,
we?
no.
We're
Like we couldn't. A whole population couldn't get together and build something.
Oh
No,
no,
no.
that'd be
'Cause
terrible.
it
Too
would-
many arguments.
There would be too many arguments.
yeah, people are convinced that they're
Everyone
they're
hates
right
everyone.
as well. That's
Exactly.
There'd be
that's
lots
the
of
issue.
power
There'd be three
complexes
different ways of doing
going
it. There'd be, you know,
Slave
but
labour.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Pay me
I mean,
£15 an hour.
Look to the Egyptians. We don't know how they did it, so I guess.
I
Very
mean,
true.
We will
True.
never know.
Yeah.
It's all a mystery.
yeah.
Katie, any
Um,
final thoughts?
my final thoughts are more like I'm really glad that like we've come this far, but I hope that they continue to research and like that's why I feel bad. Shout out to Kat if you're watching. Like I always feel bad when I used to tell you that classics are the dead subject. Because
Kat, but no context. Kat is her best friend. By
oh
the
yeah,
way.
Kat's my best friend. Sorry, she does classics at Glasgow, but I always used to tell her that it was a dead subject, and I take that back because it's not. It's actually really interesting.
It is. It is very
and
interesting.
I think it's something that we should always constantly be working on finding out new things because there's probably loads of things. As Tom was
I mean,
saying.
it's crazy that
There's
people
probably loads of things that we have no idea.
people
even
commit
exist
the
still.
majority of their lives to study things that have already happened.
Yeah, it's interesting that we live so much in the past and we still don't know anything about it.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a
Any-
scary that's a scary thought.
Any final thoughts from you, Tom?
From me,
Yeah.
Apart from the fact, thank you very much for having me on today.
Oh,
I
you're
feel
welcome.
like
Our
it's
very
been-
first guest.
It's
Oh,
been
you're
a
welcome.
been an absolute pleasure. Yeah,
I'm
and,
glad you've enjoyed.
I hope I haven't just chatted too much shit over everything.
No, we like
That's-
chatting shit.
Only what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
I'm glad you've enjoyed. I'm going to kick off Song of the Week. My Song of the Week is Jolly Joint by Herbs and Q-Tex. Herbs and Q-Tex are this group that I found. I think they're a group. I don't really know anything about them.
I think there's a couple of guys.
Two guys
I
or
think so,
something.
yeah.
And I think they're from Hong Kong because it's Hong Kong Recordings is their label. But that's all I know about them. They released 2 albums in 2004 and they are both sick.
Yeah. it's very-
Check it out.
chill.
But that's my favourite song, Jolly Joint. Katie, what's your Song of the Week?
My one is Velours or I'm going to take that back and say Hang Glide by Anomaly. yeah, he's really cool. He has he's a keyboard player, and he just he's stanky. I'll play you guys some. You
Cool.
understand?
Song of the week, Tom.
My song of the week is Souvenir by Milo. He's like a conscious rapper, poet type dealio, and it's like lyrically quite incredible. Check that out because you'll have some good vibes. Oh, and can I just mention that I do make art. I do play hip hop, some reggae, and all sorts of good vibrations on
Oh,
Platform
yeah.
B.
Get that plug.
Yeah, we're on this
Plug, plug, plug,
Friday,
plug, plug, plug.
2 till 3, and every fortnight, and we play lovely tunes for y'all. So come and have a listen.
I bet you
and
have a
jam.
nice little chat as well, you Tom.
I mean, I don't chat too much on that, so you get a little bit of a break.
There you
Don't
go.
worry.
A break from Tom. We don't ever want a break from
Fair
Tom.
amount of tunes
Nah.
instead.
But yeah, we'll,
so that's all right.
We'll link all the stuff down below, and it'll be on our Facebook and stuff when this episode is released. Finally, to you, Gianluca, what's your song of the week?
My song of the week is we've been listening to it for quite a while now. I don't know when it came out, but it's a song called Kitty Kitty. It's by a band called The Stat. I think that's how you say it. They are they're from the Netherlands.
Oh, cool.
It's
Cool.
English. It's English speaking, and the lyrics are really interesting. He speaks. It's a political song, but it's interesting how a non-English speaking country can say something in English in so much depth.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And arguably, not many English people or English speakers have a lot to say on the subject of Mr. Donald Trump.
interesting.
But it is a very good song as
Yeah.
well. Some cool synths.
Cool. Thank you very
Nice.
much. Again, thank you, Tom, for joining us.
Yeah,
It's been
cheers,
an absolute
Tom.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very
You've
much.
elevated this conversation beyond belief, so it's been great to
stop
have
it.
you on. Like I said, all his stuff will be down below, and all his socials and all his platform B-ness, his radio-ness will be
Platform
be right
B
there. I guess that's it. Thank
That's
you
it.
guys for listening and
Thanks,
watching.
ancient Egyptians.
We should end it on a picture
for
of
being here.
Tutankhamun's penis.
Peenie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say, Tilly, please don't do that. Tilly's our editor, and Tilly, please save their eyes.
Maybe just put it.
Please do that.
Just put it like somewhere like
Just in the
here.
corner.
You'll need a magnifying
A
glass.
tiny
Yeah,
little
so-
one.
1, 2, 3, penis. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.
Cheers.
See you later.